Welcome off the post, powered by Lights On Electric and Cover All Exteriors. I'm Russ Cohen. We've got Anthony Mingione. And how are you?
Doing all right, Russell. Pre-Thanksgiving preparations and everything else that's involved, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah. I started doing that. And Michael Jello. Mike, how are you?
Well, this is how windy it is in Buffalo. I went to go get something at the supermarket, and I had a plastic cup in the back of my car. The wind took it, and it blew away so quickly, I wasn't going to run after it.
Well, if you watch this show, you know Mike doesn't run. We all know that. All right. So, and let's talk about the Philadelphia Flyers. They're getting ready to play Florida. Florida's not an easy team. I had to do an in-depth where are the Flyers kind of at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the two stats really, that I was able to pull out that are probably the ones that may tell the story as to how the season's going to go is on the road. They're -8 differential, and they only have 18 goals for on the road.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a major concern for them, certainly going forward. They have to be able to, if you're going to be a playoff team, you have to be able to, obviously bring that differential back into order. You're going to need to win it. You're going to need to win, obviously, a bit more than they have. And right now, this is going to be a tough stretch here. In the first game against Tampa, they did not look good at all. No. Tampa figured out a way to, again, recently the Flyers have shifted from a 1-2-2 check to a 2-1-2. It worked well against New Jersey at home last Saturday. But against Tampa pretty much kind of ate that up very quickly. And, Flyers are now going into this game tonight with some adjustments to their lineup. We have, obviously, Nikita Grabenkin for his first time in 4 games is going to be back in the lineup, which is good to see because against Florida, you need as many potential talent players in your lineup as you can get.
Yeah.
But it's a concern between that and obviously the lack of goal scoring this year, which I'm in the process of putting together a sort of a Thanksgiving theme report card article. And in the not so thankful category is going to definitely be the Flyers hanging around 30th in the NHL in goal scoring. They just need more in order to be able to be a true playoff contender. So it's interesting. Again, there's some good trends for the Flyers, but there's some I believe there's also some ominous trends that, again, when someone asked me, do you think they're a playoff team? And we had this conversation over the weekend with Jackie Spiegel from the Inquirer. Jackie seems to think they are. I need to see some improvement in these areas before I'm willing to move forward with that.
Yeah, I can't go there. But I will say this. We could talk about the Olympics for a minute. First thing is Scott Wedgwood got the sign up.
Well, we've been talking about him enough.
I feel like I'm partially responsible because I talked about it on Sirius. I talked about it here.
Pat yourself, Russ. Go ahead.
So don't dislocate your shoulder.
Yep. But Bill Guerin said something that I don't particularly agree with. He gave an interview to TSN and Sportsnet, so I guess he must have had one yesterday that I missed. And he basically said, if you can't check, it's probably not the tournament for you. So that means Cole Caulfield, you're out. Trevor Zegras, you're out. Like, there's a lot of guys you're eliminating with that statement.
Because they're feeling like they have enough offensive players in those categories to be able to say that they can be out on those players.
But that's tough. You can never have enough. I think we've learned that.
I agree with you on that, but you know how teams, how these general managers are.
I know.
Well, we already know the philosophy of Team USA, and that it cost them in the Four Nations because they sat Kyle Connor in the gold medal game. And do you think they could have used Kyle Connor instead of a Brock Nelson or an injured Chris Kreider? Now, Guerin was in Buffalo on the weekend for the Carolina Sabres game. And based on that statement and based on the fact that he was in Buffalo, and I'm sure he wasn't looking at just Buffalo, or maybe he was also looking at both teams for the Minnesota Wild. There are 2 players on the Sabres. One is Tage Thompson, who I think put himself into the mix for the Olympic team with his performance at the World Championships. And he's a bigger player. We know that they want bigger players. And Alex Tuch, because Alex Tuch is a penalty killer and is leading the team in tied for the team lead in scoring, and he's a big guy. So I would say that Alex Tuch has a better chance of making the Olympic team than Cole Caulfield, and that's asinine, but that's where they're going.
I can't argue with you, on both statements. You may be right. That may be the case.
Yeah, again, and general managers, I think in a lot of cases just kind of get themselves locked into, I believe, sort of this idea of, it's a tour. If you're basing this off of the recent Four Nations tournament and using that as kind of an example, whereas this gets a bit more stretched out over time, you have to have a lineup that offers you options, especially what happens if said player that you selected for offense isn't producing it, and you're trying to find another option in that case. But instead, you've gone with, the penalty killer extraordinaire instead. And then that's where you're opening yourself up to that. And again, in some ways, I do wonder when it's an NHL general manager versus maybe a general manager who is not an NHL general manager, but is maybe outside of the circle, maybe thinks more outside the box instead of structuring the team like enrolls for an NHL roster.
Okay. Today was a day we saw some interesting players go on waivers. I'll start with the New York Rangers because they waived UC Parsonen, who, again, they went out of their way to trade for it. But last year I was covering a Rangers-Devils game late in the year when it was unsure whether they were going to make the playoffs, and he didn't even play. So now it seems like they're waiving him because of cap restrictions, and it's like, okay, but you got Conor Sheary on the roster. But we know about Conor Sheary, so that's that. And then the Leafs waived good old Sammy Blais, Mike.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was a little surprised by that because he actually has played fairly well in 8 games as an energy guy. I wonder whether it had to do with the fact that against Montreal, while they were getting trounced by the Habs, he really didn't stand up physically against the Jackeye brothers. I mean, it was I can't even remember who the heck. Dakota Mermis fought Florian Jackeye, and at the end of the game, Dakota Joshua, and there was another player that sort of got involved in the scrum at the end of the game. Blais sort of was not a factor, and if he's not a factor physically, then that's what they need on the fourth line. They need somebody to stir the pot, and if he's not going to do that, then his value is not there. Now, the funny thing is, he was claimed off of waivers by Montreal. If Montreal reclaims him, they can put him down in the American Hockey League. I don't know how much they want him. We know what Sammy Blais is.
You know what he is.
Yeah, he's a fourth liner, and if they want to take him off the Leafs' hands, they can do that. I don't know. That's going to be up in the air. But I think he's a better player in the NHL than Michael Pezzetta. And Michael Pezzetta.
I mean, that's not saying a lot, but that's
not saying a lot. But I like if there are games later in the season where they're playing Florida or they're playing Montreal, they're going to call up Michael Pezzetta, and Michael Pezzetta is useless. He's just
beat that well.
Yeah, he's big, and that's about all I can say about him.
Yeah, no, that's fair, Mike. If I bring up the Paul McCartney song "Jet," what's the first thing you think of?
Not the Winnipeg Jets.
What about the guy in goal tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets? Because if he beats the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're in trouble.
Well, he already beat them last week, so yeah. I mean, well, let's just say this: the Leafs, and I've written about that. I just posted something on Hockey Hot Stove and said today was moving day for the Maple Leafs. They activated Matthew Knies, Nicolas Waugh, all back in the lineup after being out for around a couple weeks. I don't know if they're 100%. Craig Berube basically said he was going to sort of limit their minutes, ease them in. But the season is the next 5 games. They have a 5-game road trip. They're playing 3 games and 4 nights on the road: Columbus, Pittsburgh, Washington. They need to win 2 of 3 of those games at least. They need to probably go 3-2 or 4-1 on this road trip. If they don't, and right now it's like throw out and I'm not saying this because the Leafs are in the place that they are in, but it's the way the Eastern Conference is structured right now. Toronto is in last place in the East with 21 points. The wild card is 26. third spot in the Atlantic is 26. 27 is second place in the Atlantic. So it's 5-6. Now that is not, that could be as close to being insurmountable. But with all these teams so tightly compacted, I don't think anybody's out. I don't think Buffalo's out. I don't think Toronto's out. I don't think the Rangers are out. So, but right now you have to turn things around now. If they go another week or two and they're playing at 500 hockey, forget it. Then start.
I will say this: I'm not a math major, and I understand the American Thanksgiving thing with hockey, but I think it changes when it's an Olympic year.
Yes,
I'll say that. But here's what I think: based on the parity in the league this year, I feel like if you're in one of the top 2 spots in your division at American Thanksgiving, you're probably going to make the playoffs. I think the rest is up for grabs. That's what I think.
I think in the Metro, that's
it
probably
doesn't mean it'll end up in that exact spot, but that's what I'm thinking.
No, I think in the Metro, you're probably right because Carolina's at 30, New Jersey's at 29, which is amazing because New Jersey now without Hughes, they beat where they are, and they've been without Markstrom for a while. But I would say, the Islanders are 28. I'm not a believer in the Islanders. I know that Schaefer is a phenomenal young player. But Washington and Boston are 26 in the 2 wild card spots. Ottawa's at 26 in third place. And you've got 5 teams at 25. The Rangers at 24, Buffalo at 22, and Toronto at 21. I mean, I would rather be in the spot of Washington or the Bruins, obviously, but I don't think that Toronto is out of it if they get back to playing the way that Toronto did last year. If they continue to play the way they are right now, then they're toast. They're done.
Well, let's talk about one more thing with Toronto, the complication of even if you want them to tank, what could go wrong there?
Well, they traded their first-round pick. They traded 2 first-round picks. One, their 2026 in the Brandon Carlo deal. The other, the 2027 pick in the Scott Lawton deal. The pick to the Bruins, along with Fraser Minten, was top 5 protected. So that would mean, and remember with the lottery, if you're 32nd overall, the furthest down you can draft is 4th. You can slip 3 spots. So they would have to finish 31st or 32nd in the NHL to guarantee that the pick doesn't go to Boston. If they finish 27th, they would have to win one of the 3 lottery spots to be able to retain the pick. So they could very easily have a terrible season, maybe trade off some of the rentals, do all those sort of things, and finish 23rd or 24th and just give Boston a top 10 pick in a very good draft. So they're either going to, that's why I think, really, they either have to, they have to make a decision probably by, I'd say, the middle of December, what they're going to do. And if they're, still wallowing in last place in the East, then they may want to start tanking. And if they start tanking, then, you could get into the Veerhoff or McKenna or whatever sweepstakes. But that's not where anybody thought. And they, the injuries have killed them.
Nobody thought it, but it's
the
happening.
The injuries have killed them, but they've also, even when their players were healthy, were not playing very well.
Yeah. So let's talk about amazing thing. Gary Bettman was on CNBC talking about franchise valuations, valuations, not evaluations, valuations. And Gary Bettman said something amazing, and it's a plus for the NHL and it's a big minus for Major League Baseball. But he basically said that there are markets now where the NHL has better valuations. I'm not a finance major. Better valuations than baseball teams in the same market. So I imagine Chicago is one of them. I mean, that's
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh is another. Those are slam dunks. There's probably 2 or 3 more though.
I'm not sure about Chicago because I know, because it's Chicago and the Cubs and the White Sox.
But that ballpark is also, not the greatest. It's not in a good part of town.
If one of them, I would say the White Sox, there's a possibility of them being less than the Blackhawks, but not the Cubs. The Cubs are
no, the White Sox.
Yeah, the White Sox. But Pittsburgh for sure.
Pittsburgh for sure. I wonder about Seattle. I wonder. Because
No,
Seattle doesn't draw attendance, even though they were a good team.
yeah, I'd be surprised that. I mean, Washington with the Nationals.
Yeah, Washington, I would think, is a great possibility.
So yeah, there's in certain markets for sure. I think that's the case.
You know, like when we were growing up, that would have been an impossibility to even think about that.
Yeah, the funny thing is what's going on in Major League Baseball right now is like, you know, you've got the rich like Hal Steinbrenner basically begging for a salary cap because he doesn't want to spend $300 million.
Hal Steinbrenner, like, he's worried about making a profit, Mike. Come on.
Yeah, well, okay. And you know, that's the hilarious thing. You're making
at least nobody in the NHL tries to pull that off.
You're making $750 million and you're complaining about a $300 million payroll. It's like, oh, okay. What they want to do is they want everybody, and don't tell me it's like this sort of magnanimity that you're looking out for the little guy.
Right.
If you're George Steinbrenner, if you're George Steinbrenner, you wanted to squash the friggin' little guy. Fuck them. And it's like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so an interesting thing for the NHL, a weird thing for baseball, but that's sort of the world that we're in right now. The other thing with the Olympics is, I don't know if you saw the Team USA jerseys, but they went back to like the look of 1960. Kind of cool.
Okay. 1960 or 1980, that's fine. You know,
I think people are gonna buy them, provided that, you know, in the next 30 days they make progress, because the NHL did give a ultimatum now.
Oh,
that was a couple days ago. Sportsnet had that. But here's what I think, Mike. I think ultimately what's going to happen here is, if they are running a little late, they're going to send the women to the smaller rink. Apparently there's a smaller rink, and then they'll test it before the guys play, and the guys will play there, because that ticket is the highest priced ticket for the Olympics, the men's hockey.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of wiggle room that they could, like, I mean, but the thing is, you can't have these teams playing like day after day after day in a row. I mean, you know, if you had a 40-man roster, you could do that, but if it's with a 25-man roster, you have to at least have a day in between these games. And I mean, I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I mean, this is a cluster F. It really is. And it's like, I mean, you know, I heard people say, well, you know, we knew that the rink, we knew that Sochi, there was a bunch of problems, and then it ended up working out. There was never a problem with the rink. The rink was one of the first things that was built. What was the problem was they built rooms with toilets with no plumbing. That was the problem. So it's not, you know, here the rink seems to be the last thing that they're building. And the picture that was published last week shows one side of the building still being constructed. So I mean, I'm not
nuts.
Yeah, I'm not confident that it's gonna be played there. I mean, maybe every game is played, in that small rink, and that'll be a disaster. But that'll be a financial disaster for Italy and for the IOC.
So, Mike, I have that list now for the NHL valuations. Who is the lowest in the NHL?
I think it was Ottawa.
Nope.
Well, it's not Buffalo.
Nope. But both of them are close.
Columbus.
It's Columbus, Buffalo, Ottawa. The worry one here, like, I'm not worried about them on the surface. The Winnipeg Jets are 29th, Mike.
Small market, cold climate.
But a great team. Like, this is a problem.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, they seem to be able to get all their players. It's like the Boston Bruins. They seem to get all their players to buy in and take less. You know, Morrissey did, Hellebuck did, Scheifele did. The only one that didn't was Kyle Connor. But everybody, Adam Lowry took $5 million. Everybody's taking less. They all want to stay there. They all want to play there. I mean, I don't think you're going to be building a new building to get 3,000 more seats. You're limited. I think MTS is at 15.5 or something like that. It's not the biggest, and the Canadian dollar being weak, it doesn't help at all either. So, I mean, you got to factor in that valuations are not based on the quality of the team. They're based on the market. They're based on their revenue streams. And this is a perfect illustration of it.
The most surprising, New Jersey Devils at 11, but I think they're 11 because Harrison Blitzer owned the building too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Not everybody owns their buildings.
Yeah, and that's a factor in Buffalo because the KeyBank Center is owned by the county,
Right?
and that was that, and only recently that was sort of bone of contention because the county basically threw the keys on the table and said, "Here you go," and then they reached some sort of an accord. But Pegula is not going to spend hundreds of millions of dollars refurbishing the KeyBank Center when he made a bad deal for the football stadium and is on the hook for probably like close to 50% of the football stadium. So he's either going to get help from the county, the city, the state, or whatever, or they're just going to be languishing in a building that's among the oldest in the NHL. I think it's them and the Saddle Dome, and I think
the Saddle Dome's getting replaced. So
yeah, I mean, Scotiabank Arena was built in 99. The Sabres building was built
in 2001.
Yeah, Sabres building is built in, I think in 90. It opened in 95 or 96, and the Saddle Dome was built for the Calgary Olympics, so it was 87 or 88. So
yeah, that's a while ago. All right, two surprising things in the top 5. There's only 3 Canadian teams, Mike.
Well, number 1 is Toronto.
Toronto has a $500 million edge on the Rangers. I don't know. It's a difference of 3.8 and 4.3. So it's pretty close, like surprisingly close.
Yeah. I mean, I know that MLS&E, or excuse me, that Rogers now who has majority stake in MLS&E, the building is owned by them. And it's a bottomless pit in terms of, it's a ticket base that if everybody decided they weren't going to renew, you'd have 19,000 people renewing, buying them in 2 seconds. So, ticket sales are not a price. The media market is not a problem. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised Toronto is where it is. Is Montreal 3rd?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they used to be like among the top. But 3 is okay. Here's a surprise. The Kings are 4th. That's
media market.
Yeah. Because otherwise it really wouldn't be. And Edmonton is 5th.
Yeah. That will drop like a stone as soon as McDavid leaves in 2 years.
Yeah. Boston 6th. Chicago is 7th. So they're definitely beating the White Sox.
Original 6 teams.
Yes.
Well, now what? Detroit is probably in the top 10, right?
Yeah, they're number 10. So original 6 has always ruled this league, and it still does.
Yeah, and it's not surprising, and
it's just always been the case. Like it's just since I've been alive.
But overall, the valuations of these franchises continue to go up and up and up.
Yes.
And I don't know how realistic it is. I know that they've been talking
number 8, just so. They used to be around 5, though, a while ago.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic it is because we're hearing that the entry fee for expansion would be $2 billion. Right. It's like I'm calling bullshit on that. It's like, I mean, it was 500
pie in the sky number, don't you think? Right.
It was 500 million for Vegas, and then I think Seattle was 750 or something like that. I mean, I can't see it jumping 125 or 130% in 3 years, 4 years. It seems a little ridiculous to me.
Yeah. Mike, I will give you 100 drachma if you can name me the starting goalie for the Vancouver Canucks tonight.
Okay. So it's not Thatcher Demko because we know Thatcher Demko is hurt. It's not Kevin Lankinen. I think Lankinen is hurt.
Yep.
Is it what's his name? Topo.
Yeah. Topo Gigio. No, it's Nikita
Tolopio. Yeah. Yep. I mean, a couple of days ago I was looking through Puckpedia and I saw that Demko was hurt.
I only bring this up because the Canucks are basically Tolopio. Thank you. they're basically self-destructing. Like, they don't have any goaltending anymore. I didn't think they should put money into Lankinen, but they did. They're sinking quick. And so we all think about Quinn Hughes, and, there's rumors out there. Like, I think there's hopes for like all these other franchises, but I really think he either stays there just because he's loyal, or most likely he goes to New Jersey. And I think it's going to happen quicker than I think people expect.
I think the Lankinen deal was brilliant compared to the Demko deal. The Demko, I mean, this is the thing. Okay, and I like Thatcher Demko. He was a talented goaltender, but he's been dogged by injuries the last few years. And what in God's earth are you signing him to an extension and paying him $8 million for?
Yeah, I mean, again, if we talk about a franchise that has the worst capologist in the NHL, it's the Canucks. They have the worst contracts.
I don't know about the worst capologist. I think they have the worst team president and general manager. If you sign,
I'm going to say capologist because that's where the offer comes from. It's not like Jim Rutherford thinks of the number, and Alvin probably not either. Like, they probably get a starting point from a report, and that report, it's brutal.
But your overall point, I mean, everybody knows Quinn Hughes is gone.
Right.
It's
even Adam Foote's being asked about it now. Like, it's just
it's a question of when. It's a question of whether now. They were talking. LeBron and Darren Drager were talking about this on TSN yesterday. It's a question of when you pull the trigger when it comes to Vancouver, because if you can go to him and you can go to his representative and say, I know we can't talk about a contract before July 1st, or we can't sign a contract before July 1st, but we can see, feel out, does he want to be here? Does he, like, how much in general do you think it would cost? Right. Okay. And if you don't get an answer and they say, well, let's talk about it. No. You don't talk about it then. We're talking about it now. And if you're not talking about it now, we're going to trade him, because right now, you have an opportunity with teams other than New Jersey that, you could get one of the best defensemen in the league for 2 playoffs. And, his salary is not completely out of whack. I mean, he's making $7.8 million. So a team like Colorado, mention Hughes and Makar in the same defensive pairing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, or a team that is a defenseman away from a defenseman away, the Edmonton Oilers, the Ottawa Senator, I'm saying, like, any team could use Quinn Hughes, but the whole point here is, what will these teams give up? We know he's going to go to New Jersey. We know it. Yeah. It's a question of when. Now, what would New Jersey give up right now? Simone Nemec, maybe Dawson Mercer, a first round.
It'll be Mercer, Nemec, and a pick or two.
Yeah. And that might be as good as you're going to get, unless somebody blows your doors off and is a team that thinks that they can win a Stanley Cup, because he has no trade protection. They can trade him anywhere. If I'm Rutherford and Alvin, I'm like, we need to find this out. If there's no chance of us being able to sign, and you can't say, well, there's a 50-50 shot. No, it's either like 90-10 or we're trading them, because this would be franchise. How does it taste with Toronto right now? They trade, couldn't trade Mitch Marner. Vancouver needs to get either Hughes signed or the value of what Hughes.
Yeah, there's no in between. There's no gray area here. Yeah, I agree. So last thing, I think it's still a mistake that the NHL does not have a Thanksgiving evening game. I think it's a huge mistake. I'm going to tell you, again, I'm going to quiz you, Mike, because so far you're doing okay. But if you could tell me who the last game is on Thanksgiving, I'll give you 200 drachma.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, I know one is Detroit, and I know the second one is Dallas.
Right.
And honestly, by the time 8 o'clock rolls around, I'll be in a coma because of tryptophan. Right. So I could give a shit less. But no, I don't know. I don't know who.
Bengals Ravens.
Oh, that's a classic.
Like, why, if nothing else, why wouldn't ESPN jump on this and actually have a good matchup?
Because ESPN is part of the NFL The NFL wants everybody to watch these 3 games. The NBA
game's a dog. It always is.
I know. I agree. But somebody, and I can't remember, and I'm not stealing your thought here, but somebody on social media said, "Why aren't the Canadian teams playing? It's not Thanksgiving in Canada."
No, that's why.
Yeah,
that's obvious.
Right. So have you have 7 Canadian teams, have 3 games.
Here's what I would do. I think this would do really well. I would have like the Kings and the Ducks because it's a West Coast game.
At 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
But
why not?
But why not have Sens, Leafs, Habs, Oilers, Jets, Flames? Whatever. We have 3 Canadian games, and one. And why not? I mean, it's not Thanksgiving. Now, there have been Thanksgiving games for Canadian Thanksgiving. So why aren't they for America? Why isn't it for American Thanksgiving? I don't get it. So
yeah. Last thing,
food take.
We'll do a food take too. You know that I'm writing about prospects now for Hockey Hot Stove. I will not write about the 2027 draft this entire season, Mike. I will not talk about the 2027 draft. I might write about a player or two that will be in that draft, sure, because I've done an interview with one and I like them, and I'll put that article out. But I won't do it because, again, if I'm going to talk about drafts that are like 2 years down the road, we see what happens with players, and I just don't think it's worthwhile doing that.
No, I remember having a discussion with some draft people, and this was at the combine, not this recent combine, but the previous one, about the 2025 draft.
Yeah.
And, we were talking about Misa. Nobody mentioned Matthew Schaefer's name. No one. So yeah, let's let the season play out. Let's let the World Junior and the under 18s and the World Champ,
another game with the, Canada versus the US, CHL versus the US. That's on NHL Network. Watch that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's 27 guys in there. Yeah. Not a lot, but, US has one. But, yeah, I'm not talking about it. Okay, food take. So, your number one thing that you eat on Thanksgiving that if it's not there, you're sad.
Well, I'm a stuffing guy. or as I call it, dressing. I like.
Do you make that yourself?
Yes, I make it myself.
Okay, no, that's great. I mean,
not stovetop. I had stovetop once in my life, and I was like,
but again, I'm doing that in memory of my mother this year.
Well, I'm saying I did.
No, I know, but I'm just saying because she used to. I'm not telling you it's great, but I'm just telling you I got used to it because she used to make it.
But I'm
doing it with cornbread. They have a cornbread version, so that's what I'm doing it with this year.
I would be willing to try the cornbread one because I love cornbread. But here's the thing that's where, and I've sort of changed over the years, is everybody eats the dressing out of the turkey.
No, I don't do that.
And it's like, okay, that is the greasiest, grossest dressing. We cook the dressing separately. We cook it
putting something on the engine of your car and then eating it. Like,
right. I mean,
people do this, and I would never do it.
And the thing is, it's like, you're basting, and the funny thing is they've now said basting a turkey is worthless. It's useless.
Well, especially if you get a brine one. If you get a brine one, you don't even have to bother.
Well, or if like we use a coating, we use a roux, like
yeah. Or you just put oil on it. You can just simply put oil on it.
Right. But it's like it's pointless because all you're doing is wetting the outside of it. It's like that's not making it more moist. So yeah, no. I would dressing, stuffing. That's I mean. It's gotten to the point now, though. Like it's, I go over to my niece's house, and God bless her, she like wants to put. It's way too much. It's like it's the mashed potatoes, it's the macaroni and cheese.
You feel like you have to put a spoonful of everything on your plate,
right? It's the sweet potatoes, it's the green bean casserole. Now it's the Brussels sprout.
Yeah, I'm not a sweet potato guy, even though they used to make sweet potato pie in my family with the marshmallows. That wasn't my thing. My thing is just good mashed potatoes. Like that's it.
Well, I mean,
I have to have that.
it used to be, well, they used to call them yams, and
Oh yeah,
it used to be
especially if they were in the can and they just had all the syrup at the bottom.
right. We'd make them naturally, and we'd make them in syrup and honey and everything. But
Right.
now it's whipping up sweet potatoes like mashed potatoes, like they're
Right. Yeah, I'm not in favor of that.
yeah, and it's like, I'll have a little bit, but I give me more stuffing and less of that.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm a mashed potato guy, so I always make sure we have a batch because I want to eat that. But I'll let you know how the stuffing comes out. That's it. That's it for Off the Post. We'll catch everybody next time.
Take care, everybody.